Okay, so lay your hands, your arms straight out in front of you so your palms are together. And just reach your left hand all the way behind you and see how far it goes towards touching the floor behind you. So reach it up to the ceiling and straight back behind you.
Wondering about that too.
And just once or twice, feeling how you organize your shoulder, your ribs. Notice if you feel anything in your pelvis or your knees, and bring your arms back together again. And then do a similar thing with your knees. So when your palms are resting along each other, make sure your thighs are coming out from your trunk about 90 degrees and your knees are bent at about 90 degrees. And lift your left knee up towards the ceiling. You can keep your feet touching or not, whatever's most comfortable. And just reach it up towards the ceiling as if you were going to begin to open your knees and take your knee towards the direction behind you, like you did with your hand. And just see if that's easy or difficult. What's that like? Opening up and closing, kind of like a clam. And then just rest that. And then bringing your attention back to your left hand, your left arm, your left shoulder, and begin gently sliding your left hand along your right hand so that you're lengthening your left arm past your right fingertips. Your left fingertips will reach out past the fingertips on the right, and you begin to feel the change in sensation from touching your fingertips to touching the floor or your mat in front of you. Feel the sensation of the skin of your hand, of the floor, and feel also what's happening along your left arm, your shoulder. Can you feel any movement in your shoulder blade or in your ribs? How far down your trunk do you feel the influence of the movement in your arm and hand? As you slide your left arm forward, do you feel the movement in your upper back, down between your shoulder blades at all? And some of you may feel it all the way down to your pelvis, and some of you may not. That's fine. Just notice your unique representation of this movement. And then pause. And then bring your attention to your left knee and do a similar movement, sliding your left thigh along your right thigh so that your left knee extends just a little bit beyond your right knee and it comes back to neutral. Just a simple movement. You'll find it's really a movement in your pelvis, rotating your pelvis a little bit so that your knee slides out and back. And you can keep your knee bent. Keep it simple. Less is more. Oh, so much more. We do less to keep the static from interfering in the nervous system. The more we do, the more effort, the more neurons fire, the more over-information there is. As we do these movements simply, the brain takes in little pieces of simple information and can begin to integrate them more easily, more eloquently, more gracefully. So then see if you can slide the palm of your hand back along your forearm, keeping your elbow relatively straight. So you're going to draw your shoulder back and slide back. See just how far you can slide it back, keeping your elbow straight. What has to happen in your shoulder blade, and in your ribs to slide that arm back? Which direction does your head naturally want to turn? Does it want to turn to the left, up towards the ceiling? Try that a few times, sliding your left hand back and turning your head up towards the ceiling. Feeling the movement down through your spine. And again, for some of you, into your pelvis, maybe even into your thigh. And then a few times as you slide your left hand back, turn your head to the right. So you're actually sliding your left hand back, but gently turning your head just slightly down towards the floor, and see what effect that has on this movement. Notice if it changes your breathing. Are you able to keep your face and jaw soft? And then again, pause for a moment on your side. And try this movement a few times with your thigh, sliding it back along your right thigh. So you're really rolling your pelvis back and just taking your leg along for the ride. And feel what stops you from allowing your pelvis to slide back further. As you roll your pelvis back, if you were in a yoga class with a poorly attentive teacher, what would you be pushing through to get the stretch? Don't do the stretch, but just notice that first place of resistance as you roll your pelvis back and feel effort. And when you feel that effort, linger there just for a moment. What is it you do? Do you hold your breath? Do you grit your teeth? How would you organize yourself if you were going to push through that? And then notice that you don't have to, and you can come back to neutral easily, lightly. And next time you're rolling your pelvis back, find a way to very gently let go of any constraints and roll yourself onto your back for a moment. But find just the easiest and lightest way to do this. And again, where does your attention go when you're lying on your back in this way? What places are getting softer? relaxing more into the floor, allowing gravity to just hold you gently on this earth that's spinning and spinning through space. The vast, infinite space. As we lead our small but very, very important lives and take ourselves so seriously. And again, roll onto your right sides, please. And the hands in the same configuration with your left palm resting on your right palm. And this time very gently see if you can slide your left palm just a little bit forward past your right fingertips and simultaneously slide your left knee a little bit. Well, let's start with sliding everything a little forward. What's that like? To let your whole trunk roll a little forward, and you can go ahead and roll a little backwards too. And notice how your brain organizes this. Is there a top half and a bottom half that your brain is instructing into movement at the speed of light? Or do you initiate the movement with the top half, your arm and shoulder, and let your leg, pelvis, and hip follow? Maybe you initiate the movement somewhere around your pelvis or leg, and you let your trunk, shoulder, and arm follow. And of course, noticing what your head is doing. So try it both ways. Try just extending your left arm past your right fingertips, feeling your shoulder move, your spine and trunk move, and letting your pelvis and leg follow. Just lazily, just letting them roll as much as they easily and lazily roll, following the initiation from the shoulder. And notice where in the shoulder, when you stop and you rest and pause, where's that first inkling of movement begin? If you do the smallest movement, what's actually doing it? And then next time, pausing in the middle, initiate the movement from your left leg and pelvis. So you let your knee come forward on your right knee, your pelvis follows, you let your spine follow, and your shoulder and hand follows. And then pause in the middle for a moment and gently let your hand go forward while taking your knee backwards. So what's that like, to bring your arm and shoulder just a little gently forward and your pelvis and left leg a little backwards in space? What has to happen in your trunk, in your ribs? What is the particular configuration of your spine. Does it create a little twist in your spine or a turn? And then notice, which way does your head want to go with this? Does it want to go forward with your arms or backwards with your pelvis? And try that both ways. So as you lengthen your arm, let your head roll down to the right a little bit towards the floor as you take your pelvis backwards. So your head is following the direction of your arm and shoulder. And then try the other way. So your arm lengthens, but your head rolls a little bit up to the left towards the ceiling as your leg comes backwards. And your jaw is soft, and your breath is full. And it's just playful. It's easy. Or it's not. Or it's silly. And then just rest on your side. Now from the left arm, just begin sliding your left hand along your forearm. When necessary, begin to bend your elbow and slide it all the way up to your shoulder, even along your upper chest, and then slide it back down. And as you do this, feel what happens in your left shoulder, in your trunk, sliding your left hand all the way along your forearm on the right, your left hand along your right elbow and your upper arm, up to your shoulder. And can you feel as your shoulder begins to come backwards, that little by little your ribs begin to roll backwards. Your shoulder begins to drop towards the floor behind you. And what does it take just to continue to allow this movement to grow and grow until you're beginning to reach your arm towards the floor behind you, ever so gently, drawing your hand across your upper ribs, across your left shoulder, and opening your arm out to the side. If it's helpful, as you draw your arm up along your right arm, let your right knee also lift a little towards the ceiling. And as you bring your arm back across your chest, back across your right arm down to your palm, you can bring your knees together again. What's the laziest way to find, for your left arm to find its way to the floor behind you? Softening in the low back, in the pelvis, letting the knees open. And how do you fold yourself back up onto your right side? letting your head turn with your shoulder. Next time you're on your right side, just stay there again for a moment. And then begin a similar movement with your left leg. Sliding your left knee back, taking your pelvis back towards the floor. Eventually lifting your knee up towards the ceiling. But don't lift your knee up towards the ceiling to start the movement. Start with the sliding. The sliding starts that rotation. And then there's a point where it only goes so far and you can lift your knee. And at what point does your shoulder and your left arm start to just slide along your right arm? The same kind of opening, but being initiated from the leg and the pelvis instead of the arm and shoulder. Letting your neck be soft, rolling your head. And then again, pause on your side. And one last time, just turn your head to the left up towards the ceiling and see if you can feel that first point that the shoulder wants to follow. The head turns, the shoulder follows. Let the shoulder keep following on down the spine into the ribs, down into the pelvis, opening up towards your back. And if, depending on how far you go on your side or towards your back, then initiate coming back onto your right side again with your head, turning your head to the right, feeling your shoulder be invited along, and your trunk and your pelvis. Next time you're in the direction towards your back, just find a way to lazily roll all the way onto your back and rest. Feel your contact with the floor. Feel your connection with what feels good. One of the teachers at this conference that I was at said something interesting in her own belief system. She said that there is no source of bad. It's all good, and there's only resistance to what is good. And I see Feldenkrais as a tool for helping us let go of our resistances give us options, give us freedom, more availability through using our awareness of what is tight, what is resisting, what is holding back all of the blessings that are here for us.
Word up. Word up. That's how I live.
So, from your back, how would you find your way back onto your right side? Would you start with your left hand? Would you start with your left knee or leg? Would you start with turning your head to the right? So take a little bit of time and explore one way, and if it gets to be a little too hard, and I really mean a little, then come back and find the easiest path to rolling on to your right side from here, using some of the principles that we've been developing in this lesson. I'm using principles you know from other lessons. What's the path of least resistance? And when you've found one path of least resistance, try it again, and then find another path. It was too easy for some of you. How many ways are there to roll on to your right side? How many ways are there to open yourself fully onto your back? Breathing, face and jaw soft, belly soft. And next time you roll onto your back, feel that potential for openness in your lower belly, in your pelvis, in your hips. It's so not how we're taught to be in our hips in this culture. Soft and open, loose, available to respond to our world in a relaxed yet confident and strong manner. We've been taught that it's vulnerable to use the strength to be available in this area of our bodies and our pelvis and lower abdomen, when really it's where our strength physiologically and energetically comes from. So knowing what you know now about rolling onto your right side, take some time and discover your way, play your way, explore ways to come onto your left side. And what's different about your left side than your right side? Has it been learning all along? Has it been waiting to be noticed? Feel the dynamic combination of this one side of your body is always touching the floor and offering you stability, while another part of your body is always moving and providing mobility. And as you roll to your left side, and you can extend that and begin rolling from side to side, There's a part of you that's always connecting with the floor and really feeling that support and that stability. And there's a part of you that's gracefully floating through space, providing you with mobility. Both are absolutely necessary. There's people out there, characteristics of people that you know, that I know, that are so mobile. They're kind of flighty. They have a hard time making a commitment, or staying grounded is the popular phrase that can be used. They often trip and sprain and injure. They're in their heads, running around. And then there's those very concrete, solid people. They know right from wrong. They are not budging from their opinion or their point of view. And they're very solid in their body. But it's hard to help them see another side. They can easily get hit by a moving something because they don't have a lot of options to get out of the way. And in this work, we're working on developing both your stability and your mobility in a balance to each other. Next time you're on your left side, just stay there for a moment. Keeping your elbows straight, lift your right arm straight up towards the ceiling, away from your left hand, and reach it behind you towards the floor. Wow. And come back. Just once. And then bring your right knee up towards the ceiling. Just as far as you can go, comfortably up and back and up and back. And then find your arm or your leg to lead you on to your right side. And again, reach your left arm up to the ceiling and behind you. This time comparing to the beginning of the lesson and just feeling what's different, what's changed, what's more available for movement, for connection, less resistant. Bring your hand back and then bring your bring your left knee up towards the ceiling. Again, feeling the changes in your pelvis and your abdomen, in your ribs and your back. And just let your knee roll you onto your back again to rest. And pick one quality, something that really felt pleasant, graceful, gentle, one quality, you name it, to continue to attend to. As you roll to your side, sit and stand, and let that quality also be what you're going to attend to for the next 2 weeks until we meet again. But for now, bring your attention both in that quality. It might be a quality about your whole self. It might be a quality about a part of yourself. Just whatever is attractive to you. And then please roll onto your sides and come up to sitting. And stay in your own sensations for a while as you stand and walk around.